This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag Am in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cabas. Several members of the Kansas Farm Bureau recently visited Washington, D.C. in March. County Farm Bureau leaders and their families talked to lawmakers about issues affecting farming and ranching in Kansas, including the Farm Bill, water rights, immigration reform, and the lesser prairie chicken. The trip started off with briefings from key policy personnel at the American Farm Bureau Federation and wrapped up with a reception where Senator Jerry Moran spoke. Bob Stallman is the president of the American Farm Bureau and discussed the importance of Kansas delegation being in Washington, D.C. to tell their stories to their elected officials.
I am Bob Stallman, president of the American Farm Bureau Federation, and we're very proud to have the Kansas Farm Bureau delegation in our office today. It is absolutely critical for our success as an organization that we have our grassroots come to town. You know, people think politics is about money and influence is about money, but the reality is it's votes. And having our members come in, those same members who have a relationship with their member of Congress back in their communities where they're leaders, hearing what they think is more important to a member than perhaps what we have to say here out of the national office. This is the beginning of a new Congress, and being so, it's a critical time. And we have a number of key issues that are teed up and are being discussed in this new Congress. We have issues like waters of the U.S. and how do we stop a regulation that EPA wants to put in place that could be extremely damaging to U.S. agriculture. We have the issue of biotechnology and labeling. How should we keep every state, city, in some cases municipalities from wanting to move forward with their own labeling scheme? We need some kind of reasonable framework, and we can pass law at the national level that does provide federal oversight in that regard. Immigration reform is a huge issue for those producers who need a lot of labor, whether they're dairy producers or fruit and vegetable growers, those kind of agricultural occupations that require a lot of labor. We need to do something to fix the problem we have in this country. We need a comprehensive solution, but agriculture also needs to have a solution to the labor needs. And it's very clear that Americans don't want to do the work that it takes on farms today. We have Endangered Species Act reform, and that's something that affects, I think, just about every state in this country, where the ESA, Endangered Species Act, is used as a regulatory and control mechanism, much more than it's used to actually recover species. And so major reforms are needed there, and we're right in the middle of the action, if you will, and trying to draft some legislation to do that.
Farm Bureau works on analyzing farmer and rancher problems and formulating action to achieve educational improvement, economic opportunity, and social advancements.
The one thing that has become absolutely clear when you talk about agriculture in this country and a society that is much changed and greatly removed from the realities of what we do on our farms and ranches is the need to get involved, to be active. No one is going to tell farmers and ranchers stories better than farmers and ranchers. So being involved in Farm Bureau is certainly one way to do that at the county level, and then at the state level, carrying those messages, and then ultimately those same policies and messages being carried up to the national level. The engagement it takes to, not only create the policy position, but then to come to Washington and actually help implement that policy, that takes work. You have to, the world is run by those who show up. And so it's very important for you to make that commitment to show up, because farmers and ranchers are the best people to tell the stories that they have on their own farms and ranches, to clearly state what we need to have in agriculture in terms of policies, and to work to get those policies implemented. And so that involvement and engagement is absolutely critical, and we need to have every farmer and rancher that is concerned about their future get involved in that fashion.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.